Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm really excited to be sharing this with you guys. I recently was able to get a sample of the brand new Copic marker nibs, the Sketch Fine. These are released for the Copic Sketch marker only, and they are just like an optional nib to replace your chisel tip, which is this side. I was so excited to get these. I had heard about these nibs coming out at the end of last year. They had posted about it on the Copic markers official Japanese Twitter, and I don't really know Japanese, but I follow them and use the translator, and I had to get these. I just had to get them. I had to try them out. It's something that I've been waiting for over 10 years. Like I've been wanting them to release a smaller nib for the Copic Sketch so much, and they finally did it. I checked all the websites to see if I could buy them, but these are so new that they're just not anywhere. So I contacted the distributor of the Copic markers here in Singapore, and they were so super nice to let me try out these two nibs and see how I like them. So thank you again to them, and I cannot wait to share this with you guys. So let's get started. In this video, I'm going to be showing you the nib. I'm going to be talking about the different type of nibs you can get in case you're unfamiliar with the idea of nibs for your Copic markers. And then I will be showing you how I change out the nibs in these two markers. And then I will do a speed paint where I do an original illustration with these two markers, a few other things, and I will talk about my feelings of these markers, like how is the nib, how does it function, like generally my review after I've used these for a little bit. So do the magic of editing, it'll all happen in a short video. So yeah, stay tuned for that if you're interested, and let's get started. So the Copic company releases quite a few different nibs that you can buy. If you are unfamiliar with it, there are two different types of nibs that they sell. There are optional nibs where you can change out existing nibs with something completely different. And then there's something like this, which is just a replacement nib for something that the marker already comes with. These are the Copic Sketch super brushes. I always have these on hand just in case my super brushes have a problem and I need to change it out for a new one. So they're really useful. So for the Copic Sketch marker, they have now 4 types of nibs that you can buy. You can buy replacements for the super brush. You can buy a replacement for the chisel tip if you need it. And there's also apparently a medium round nib, and I'm not quite sure which side it replaces, but I've never actually seen that or heard of it until I looked up this information. And now we also have the Sketch Fine, which replaces, like I said, the chisel side. So this is going to be really interesting to try out. I kind of wish that the Copic marker company would release more nibs for the Copic sketch markers, because I do feel like the current younger generation uses the sketch markers more than they do any of the other markers, and I think it would be a good investment. The Copic original markers, which look like this, these actually come with a lot more different types of nibs that you can try out. These actually have 9 nibs in total you can buy. I've already used it, so there's nothing to show except for the packaging. So here's the packaging of one of the nibs that come for the Copic originals. Usually the packaging is color coded, so the Copic sketch nibs will have like this grayish package, and the Copic original nibs will have a bluish package. So I'm kind of assuming that this isn't the final color of the packaging for this one, because I would assume that they would release it in the gray, but I'm not sure because I've only seen this packaging so far online, but I haven't really seen them in stock anywhere. So if you're really interested in these, you might have a little bit of trouble getting them now, but I think in the next few months they will be rolling out everywhere. So I think one of the beauties of the Copic markers is that you can change out the nibs as well as refill the markers, so it really can last you a lifetime if you take good care of it. But the one thing, if you're not familiar with these type of nib things to keep in mind, is that they're not exactly super cheap. The nibs are so well made, and they usually sell in a package of 3, and the price depends on where you buy it, what retailer you're going to, but it can cost as much as 1 Copic marker for 3 nibs. So they're not super duper like cheap and affordable, but they're high quality, so I think they're totally worth it. But it's something to keep in mind, especially if you are thinking of replacing all of the broadsides with these new Sketch Fines For your entire collection, if you have a large collection, it might be very expensive, but if you find them useful, then I think it would be worth it in the long run, for sure. So yeah, now I'm going to just use these two nibs and change out the broadside of these two markers and show you how that's done. So I used a little bit of tape just to kind of cover this, but it looks kind of dumb, sorry. So these are what the nibs look like up close. They're very tiny. This would be the side that would be sticking out, and this is the side that goes inside the marker. They look so cute. Now, Copic marker suggests that when you change out the nibs in their products, that you use a Copic Tweezer, something that they sell that looks like kind of a regular type of tweezer, but there's like a different type of a bit on the end, like little claws. So if you want to do this in the absolutely suggested safe way, I would suggest buying the tweezers. It's only like a one-time thing, and then you can use it for all of your markers, but I personally don't have the tweezers and I don't really use them. I so far haven't really found them super useful, but it's totally up to you guys. So I will be showing you how to change out these without the Copic tweezers. So for me, I just open the marker and I use my fingers or like a tissue if I don't want to get my fingers dirty. I just grab the nib like this, pinch, and pull. I find that for the Copic sketch marker, it's kind of easy because the nibs are all soft. It's not really a big deal. Whoa. And then to place it in, you just put this side in first. You push in. I use my nail at the tip to kind of push it in all the way. So let's get that in focus. And I'm using my nails to make sure it's in. And that's it. That's so cute. So there it is in. Sorry about the focus. Try to get that in focus. It looks really cute. So this will take some time to fill in. The ink will slowly seep into it. So just going to cap it and put it to the side. And we will start the next one. So again, I just uncap it, pinch it with my fingers, and pull gently. And that's it. It's all out. Then I place it like this in, and I use my fingernails to just push it in. Whew, that one's a little hard. There we go. I guess I'm not going to be able to get it in more than that, but you can see that the ink is already flowing up really, really brightly. So I'll just leave that as is. Hopefully I didn't damage anything, because this one went in much better. Oh, you can see this one is already flowing really well too. So before I made this video, I went to the Copic marker website just to check everything out, make sure that I knew all the facts that I needed for this one. And one thing they say on the website is that these are slightly firm, thin nibs, and that these nibs may absorb slower than other nibs, so just take your time and let it go. So we'll see how that goes. The only thing that bothers me is that there is still a little bit of a lip on this one, but I pushed as hard as I could. So if it works, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, otherwise I think they look really cute. Like, look at this. Like, this is such a useful looking marker. Like, this is the dream marker that everybody really wants, right? I cannot wait to use these. So yeah, that is how you change the nib. That's all I know about nibs. So now I'm going to go into the speed paint and let you guys know how I feel after about a week of trying these out. So definitely stay tuned for that, and I hope that this was helpful so far. And yeah, let's get started. So before getting into the speed paint, I wanted to do a quick swatch page, get a feel for the nib, and see how it flows, see how it feels. While I was doing that, I couldn't help but notice that the nib looked kind of familiar, so I decided to check it against the Copic originals and the the Pro marker that I have. And I found the nib of the Copic original and the Copic Sketch Fine nib are really, really similar, which I think is kind of neat because I really like that nib on the Copic original. So now you have an option to install it onto your Copic Sketch as well. And it's pretty similar to the Pro marker. They make the same kind of marks, but the Pro marker one does look a little bit smaller. I'm using the B34 Manganese Blue and the V25 Pale Blackberry for the colors that I picked. Mainly because V25 is my favorite and B34 looked like a blue that was kind of similar in tone and feel. And I'm going to be going into this with a 2-marker challenge. I did the sketch off camera and then I refined the sketch. And now I'm going to be lining this with my Copic Multiliners in Cool Gray. I really love that set. Oh my gosh, I've been using that like nonstop. But I did do a few details in my Copic Multiliners in black as well, and I ended up using a lot more black towards the end to kind of bring out the character more and do a few touches as well. So yeah, this is a 2-marker challenge, so I'm just sticking to these 2 markers, the B34 and the V25. I also used my colorless blender, which I didn't do last marker challenge, but I felt like I kind of needed it with this one. And of course I used like my white color pencil, my white gel pen, and I ended up using a really interesting technique where I used rubbing alcohol and my Copic various ink refills for these 2 markers and painted in a background, which I saw this technique for the first time on Lemia Crescent's channel. I think it was her. She did a 1-marker challenge where she used like a paintbrush and painted on the various ink, and it just looks so cool. And this is the first time I've ever done it. I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. You'll see that coming up later, but I wanted to get all this stuff out of the way so I could get on to talking about the nibs before the end of the video. But yeah, the only thing that was kind of difficult with the rubbing alcohol method was that it would get kind of tacky and smelly, and you'd have to, it didn't like last as long as water. You had to keep dipping it in really a lot, and it was a bit of a cleanup because I had to clean up my brushes and rubbing alcohol first, and then with like soap to kind of soften up the brush and such. And I used the cheapest brushes I had because I wasn't sure if this would affect the brush at all. So I just used my Daiso brushes. I can replace those pretty easily and they work really well. So I don't know. I was just super happy with how this one came out. I had so many drawings in mind to do for this video, but I had ruined one and I did another one, which I will be doing another video showing that one really soon. And this one just came out so well. I was so happy with it. So yeah, let's talk about the nibs before the end of this video. So on the Copic website, the copic.jp/EG or EN, I found some information about these Sketch Fine nibs, and on that website they say the absorption of the ink into this nib will be slower than other nibs, taking off time. And when I read that, I wasn't really quite sure what they meant. Do they mean that it will take time to absorb like through the whole life of the nib, or just when you first install it? And I found out it is definitely just when you first install it, because when I first installed the nib, it flowed so well. It looked like it was ready to go. So 20 minutes later, I just started swatching stuff and it flowed well on the paper. It looked good, but it felt funny. Like it just felt like hard and cheap and uncomfortable. And I was like, oh no, what did I get myself into? Maybe these aren't as great as I thought they were. But actually they just needed more time to sit. So I just left it overnight. It came back. The nib was all soft now and the ink flowed just as well as it did before, but the nib just felt better. So it was just so much better if you let it sit. So if you end up buying these nibs, definitely let it sit overnight and you'll have a much happier time with it. I haven't had any flow issues since then though. They've been perfect ever since, and I've been really, really happy with these nibs. I would totally say that they are exactly what I was hoping for, and I would definitely buy more of these. There's only 2 downsides that I've found through using them. The first downside is, of course, kind of obvious. If you work large with Copic markers, you may not like these nibs because, of course, it's not going to be helpful when you want to fill super large areas. It's kind of a duh moment, but it's something that occurred to me that I didn't think of beforehand. So I thought I'd mention it. And I mean, like, if you work the way I do, like A4, A5 type size, letter size are smaller, then you'll be really happy with the smaller nib, I think, unless you really like the chisel side. I also found that I use both sides of my marker a lot more than I used to, because I used to not really like the chisel side. I've gotten used to it now. Ever since getting the Copic Originals and the Pro markers, I've learned to love my chisel side, but I do really like the fine side a lot. The second downside is if you are used to refilling this marker with the chisel side because there's a little bit of gap and the ink flows in, you won't be happy with these because both sides are fully sealed. So the ink can't really drip in. I mean, you can still drip it in, but somehow it doesn't really refill the marker well by doing that. So you definitely have to take out the nib to refill the marker, which to me isn't a deal breaker. It's just an inconvenience because I usually did the drip method and then carried on what I was doing. So yeah, that is my review of these Copic fine sketch nibs. I would definitely say they are highly recommended in my opinion. I think they're great, especially if you want fine detail and you feel like you've been lacking it. I think they were so much fun, and I'm really happy that they finally released something like this. Oh, and just to add, I know that they had the Copic anniversary markers and they had a fine nib of some sort, but I never got those because I always buy my markers individually. I've never bought sets. I've never had the money at one point to buy a large set, so I missed out on those. So I'm not sure how they compare. Hopefully somebody who has them will do a review so we can see. But yeah, I think they're great. I really like them. So what do you guys think? Do you like these sketch fine nibs? Would you get some? Oh, and just to be clear, I am not sponsored. This is a video I made of my own idea. So yeah, not sponsored. These are my own opinions. It's the way I feel about it. So yeah, that's my review for these markers, and that is my 2 marker challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below to let me know. I really appreciate that. I love to hear from you guys. Let me know if you have tried these markers or if you think they might be useful. Well, I meant the marker nib, but you know what I mean. Or if you've done a 2 marker challenge, and did you like this challenge? Did you like the paint method? Well, are you going to try that yourself? Like, that was so much fun, guys. I would highly suggest that. And yeah, if you want to buy a print of this, then check out my Redbubble. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel. I post art related videos every week, or I try to. Sorry, sometimes I end up skipping it. It's been hard recently, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.